She had lost her family. The predators had found her. And then, a baby elephant saw her. Quito could have stayed with his herd. Instead, he stepped into the river. The river was their escape, but Quito had just discovered something waiting beneath it. They had escaped the river, but the storm was about to erase every trail that could lead Luna home. The storm had done what the predators could not. It erased the only trail that could take Luna home. Then, through the storm, Luna heard something she had almost forgotten: the voice of her family. The call was real, but the storm had twisted the sound. Quito had chosen the wrong path. Quito had lost the trail, but elephants remember what the rain cannot erase. The wind had carried him to a fresh clue. They had found Luna's trail, but they were not the only ones following it. The trail could lead Luna home, but it was also leading the predators straight to them. The forest had closed the path, but Quito found a way small enough for Luna to pass. The forest had hidden them for a moment, but the hunters were getting closer. For the first time, Quito understood that silence could be their greatest protection. One tiny sound could have ended their escape. Then, from far away, came the sound of Quito's family. For Quito, that sound meant home. But Luna was still far from hers. Home was calling Quito from one direction, Luna's family from another. And Quito made his choice. Quito had chosen the harder road. Now every step would take him farther from his herd, and closer to Luna's. For Luna, the smallest crossing suddenly felt enormous. But she had learned one thing from Quito: keep moving. The valley was enormous. Every sound could be a clue or another wrong turn. At the top of the ridge, Luna heard a sound that changed everything. Somewhere below, deer were waiting. They had heard her. Luna was closer to home than she had ever been, but the valley still stood between them. The herd was close enough to hear, but the storm had left one more trap between them.
Luna had crossed the storm, the river, and the wilderness. Now, her mother was calling back.
Her mother had heard her, and now, for the first time, she was running toward her. Only a few meters remained. Luna had crossed an entire wilderness, and finally, her mother was standing in front of her. After the storm, after the river, after the long journey, Luna was finally home. Quito had brought Luna home. Now it was time for him to find his own. They had searched for him, and now, after the longest morning of his young life, Quito was home. They would never walk the same path again, but neither would forget the journey that brought them together. Some journeys end when you reach home. Others leave something behind, a memory that follows you forever.
After a night of danger, the savannah gave them something simple: another morning.
The danger was supposed to be over, but something had entered their territory during the storm. The stranger wasn't a predator. It was another young animal, and like Luna, it appeared to be alone. The calf had heard someone too. Somewhere beyond the trees, its family might still be searching. Quito had already chosen once to help a lost child. Now, unbelievably, the wild was asking him to choose again. All was getting closer. But between the calf and its family stood one final barrier. Then the trees moved, and the lost calf finally heard the voice it had been waiting for. The calf had found its family, and once again, Quito had done what the wild demanded, then stepped aside. Another lost animal had found its family, and Quito was finally heading back to his own. After everything he had crossed, Quito finally stood beside the family he had never stopped searching for. Distance had separated them again. But sometimes, you don't need to see someone to know they are still there. The savannah had given them one peaceful morning. But nature was not finished testing them. The storm returned with a familiar lesson. Even the strongest families can lose sight of one another in seconds. The storm swallowed the valley, but Quito could still hear one voice through the rain, his mother's. He could not see his family. He could barely hear them. But Quito followed the one thing that never failed him, their call. Quito had found his family. But across the valley, Luna was facing the storm alone again. The forest had gone silent. But Luna had learned to listen for the smallest clue.
The storm had turned her path into a river, but her mother was still calling from the other side.
The path was only a few steps wide. For Luna, those steps were everything. One final step separated Luna from safety. This time, she made it. This time, Luna did not have to keep searching. Her mother had come all the way back for her. At last, the storm was passing. 2 young lives had survived it, and both had found their way home. The storm erased many things, but not the footprints of the journey, or the lives changed along the way. The valley was peaceful again. But the animals had sensed something long before the camera could see it. Whatever had disturbed the valley was moving closer, and this time, the herds were choosing higher ground. It wasn't a predator. It was something far larger, a migration powerful enough to reshape the valley. For a few minutes, the migration swallowed the valley whole. Even the animals who knew every corner of it could no longer see what lay ahead. The migration had revealed another hunter, and for the first time since the storm, the valley had a predator watching from the shadows. The leopard had seen them. But in the wild, seeing is not the same as choosing. The leopard disappeared into the grass, and the smallest animals in the valley learned another rule of survival: stay together, stay alert. Shadow had returned. But this time, the mother saw it first. One warning was enough. Across the woodland, every deer knew exactly what that sound meant. Tracks tell stories the animals cannot, and Luna's mother knew exactly which trail to follow. Sometimes survival isn't about running farther. Sometimes it's about finding the quiet place where danger cannot follow. The storm had changed the valley, but for Luna and Quito, it had also opened the door to something new, a chance to grow. Some paths are forgotten. Others become part of an animal's memory. They were miles apart now, yet somehow, the valley still carried their voices to each other. Water had brought them through the hardest days. Now, it quietly connected their worlds once again. But the valley held one more secret. A set of footprints belonged to neither deer nor elephant. The tracks belonged to neither predator nor prey. Something much larger had crossed their world unnoticed. The mystery was finally solved. The giant traveler was simply following the oldest road in Africa, water. The storm was gone, but its power remained hidden beneath the surface. The flood had left the valley unstable, and one step too close could still change everything. The safest choice was the simplest one: move away from the water and let the valley settle. The valley had survived the storm, and with every sunrise, life quietly began again. The valley had become peaceful again. But overnight, a new trail had appeared, and no one knew where it began. Mystery was not danger at all. A new herd had quietly arrived, searching for the same refuge from the storm. After everything the storm had taken from them, Luna had found something unexpected: a new neighbor. After the storm, the valley became crowded. But there was enough water, enough grass, and enough space for everyone. The storm had passed. The danger had faded. And slowly, the valley began to breathe again. The valley had barely recovered. Then, beyond the hills, another storm began to gather.